Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank both of you for being here with us today. Secretary Mayorkas, you wrote an op-ed arguing that in the Washington Post that and you've repeated it today, the immigration system is broken because Congress has not acted. You did say in response to Senator Graham that the policies need to be not piecemeal or I don't know if I'm quoting you. I might have quoted one of the other senators. Not piecemeal, but comprehensive. And he said in response, that's not going to happen. We know comprehensive is not going to happen. So why is incremental change that we're trying to help you do a better job to pull down the numbers that we see? I mean, even you mentioned 2019 was an important year. Well, that was less than 1 million. Last year, 2.4 million. So even in that retrospective of a year that you're pointing to as a year that was, not emblematic of good policy, it still pales in comparison to where we are now. So give me 2 or 3 specific examples that we could do, policy change, that would make a difference.
Senator, I think the president on day one set forth a blueprint that
Well, pick
contains,
3 out of there that you think are the best, the most meaningful.
Senator, I would be quite hesitant to rank which ones are the best, but I continue to adhere to the approach that when we're speaking of a system that has not been reformed since 1996, that we need to reform it from top to bottom. For example, in the context of our country's economic prosperity, I hear from businesses in every state across the country about their need for labor. And we have a remarkable demand for labor. We have an international supply for labor, and yet we cannot seem to marry the two. And so in the economic context, I would say that there's a tremendous opportunity, just as there is in the asylum context.
Okay, so,
and these are inextricably intertwined, and I believe that we should take an encompassing approach to a problem that is quite expansive in scope.
we are trying, I think, to offer the administration, we being the Republicans here in the Senate, offering the administration substantive policy changes that will bring these numbers down. You mentioned 1996 is when the immigration law was last changed. You've been operating under the same immigration laws that every other administration has been since 1996. The numbers, for example, in FY14 were 568,000. We probably thought that was a big number back then. You've got the same laws, and still you're 5 times more people coming in. It tells me the policies around the immigration laws that are written in 1996 are what's causing the problems. And so those are the things that we can help you with to be able to afford change. I don't think saying keeping an open border is going to help our economic situation. You've obviously testified, we don't know who a lot of these people are. So let's get to the length of the backlog. If you go to New York City, what's the average time that your case would be heard, your asylum case would be heard?
Senator, it's a individualized case analysis, but I will tell you, on average, it is multiple years in too many cases, that it is the time of final adjudication of an asylum case, because our case backlog is so significant across the system.
So I have a figure of 10 years. I don't know that it's exactly 10 years, but it's probably somewhere between 5 and 10. Much, much too long, and you agreed with that. So you and I know each other pretty well, because I was the chair and then ranking member on Homeland Security. Always trying to hire border agents has been an issue. So in the request, there's a request for another 1,000. You lost 700 last year from attrition. You're not even hired up to the amount that you can have now. How in the world are you going to hire an additional 1,000 officers when you can't even hire up to the allotted amount that you're appropriated for today?
Senator, let me first express my gratitude for your support of the Department of Homeland Security throughout the time that we have worked together. We are intensely focused on hiring reform, not just the hiring process itself, but also making advances in the polygraph process that, as you know, has been a challenge for many years. We are intensely focused on that administrative aspect of the challenge because we need additional personnel.
Thank you. I would suggest, too, more pay and better retention bonuses to be able to keep the people that you have. That's part of the package that we're putting forward here as ideas on ways to help. Thank you.
Senator Schatz.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair. Thank you, Secretaries, for your willingness to testify before the committee. Just one comment on